Hi there, welcome to today's episode. Have you ever experienced this? God asks you to shift the direction of your business or change a business model, and you are not sure what to do next. If you encounter that kind of situation, then this episode is for you. LaTara, welcome back to the show.
Hey, Kelly, I love being here with you.
Thank you so much for coming on the show today. And in the introduction, that we already, share with the audience that all your awesomeness. In this part of the conversation, we want to dive straight in about what is that one turning point that God has directed or instructed, or some of my other guests, they literally say God just kind of drop a bomb in the spirit for them and then change the direction of the business or so forth. So please share with us your story.
Yeah, I think mine's a little bit like that. When God told me in 2017 to begin teaching people about emotional maturity and focus on business people, I was like, oh God, I don't know if they're gonna like that. But in 2017, from 2017 to 2018, there was a really low, like my income was it was little. And I was like, okay, God, what are we doing here? Because I still have a home to take care of. I just keep teaching, LaTara, keep teaching what I'm telling you to teach. And so in 2019, he gave me an idea for a certification for soul care. And I was like, okay, soul care, right? We're teaching people about soul care, how to give it and how to receive it. So they had to walk through the healing process. And I said, God, this is like I don't understand this. This is a crazy type of certification. And I said, if this is you, Lord, I said, I'm going to ask for a specific number of people, because sometimes I think that God's okay with you asking for a sign that this is really you. So I asked for 10 people, and I asked for it, and I put it out as a Facebook post. I didn't have a list. I didn't have any, I just put it out as a Facebook post. And I think within 24 hours, less than 24 hours, I had 10 people, probably 12, who were ready and said, I've been waiting on you to do something like this. And I had no idea. And it was just following this process where I thought, okay, I'm not making no money telling people that they're emotionally bankrupt or they have some emotional issues. They're not getting this. And not knowing the whole time God was preparing me for that one moment. And it really was a turning point in my business because I had just started it in 2017 with little to no money, not knowing what I was going to do, Kelly. And then this certification came, and now I think we've done about 5 or 6 rounds of walking people through this process and having these other certified providers out there who are helping people to get healed. And it blew my mind. And I can't tell them no anymore in that area. I can't fight it.
I'm so glad you shared that. Oftentimes when God told us something and we just even couldn't imagine that, right?
Mhm.
So I gotta ask though, did you charge those 10 people?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so I want to make that clear because
Yes.
for the audience like out there, they're probably wondering the same question.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
are not talking about for free. We're talking
Mm-mm.
about, well, they did pay for the
Mhm.
service, for
Yes,
the
they did.
program. Yeah.
They
So
did.
exactly. So you mentioned that sometimes that we just have to ask God for a sign, or
Mhm.
or in this case a number. For me, you know I have those times as well, like when we are not. I often say to my audience, say, sometimes when you need a specific answer,
Mhm.
you need to ask a specific question, you know
Yes. Mhm.
and Jesus is Jewish. I mean, he's very good at business. Listen. So
Yeah. Yes.
he's very good at math and he's very good at business. So if you haven't
Mhm.
invited him to your business, you really put a lot of money on the table,
Mhm.
And so, but I want to ask you though, for those people, they haven't done so yet. That's it. They haven't, really invite God to their business. And
Mhm.
then they kind of doubt themselves, say, oh, I mean, am I worthy? I'm God, even God care this kind of thing. Um, am I hearing right? And
Mhm.
that type of situation. What will you say to them?
What I would tell them, and being 'cause so many people struggle with thinking they heard God. And I call myself a risk taker for the kingdom. So, right. And there are no risks in heaven, but on earth, to move in faith for things you can't really see, that can be risky. And so when I hear something, I'll ask another question. And if I get another answer, okay, sometimes I might not get an answer. And for me, that means move, take a step. And if you take that step, it's like when God told the people to put their foot in the Jordan and the water began to recede. If you take that step, God's going to meet you at that step. The thing is to learn how to listen with our spiritual ears and see with our spiritual eyes, right? And to learn how to hear with our spiritual brains. Right? That's really important. And we have to learn how to think different and move different. And that's what I take a step, and even in doubt, like Joshua, say that's my favorite book of the Bible. When he told Joshua, what? Move in your courage and the fear will go away. You might be scared, but I'm here with you. And you can trust God and know that he trusts you, and just ask for his wisdom in taking that step as well is really important. That wisdom piece is really key, because James says he gives us wisdom, and he didn't say he'll give you wisdom tomorrow. When you ask, he'll give you wisdom. So God, what's the wisdom in taking this step? And God will show you, but we have to learn how to get out of our own way. Stop trying to help God out and just take that step.
By the way, this episode is sponsored by our very own She Inherited Founder Academy. What is She Inherited Founder Academy? It's a premier community for Christ-centered female founders to start, grow, and scale your online business elegantly. We focus on identity-aligned positioning, compassion-driven marketing, and confidence-fueled selling to establish your business and solid ground for accelerated growth. In short, real women build real business and serve a real God. Inside the community, we focus on 4 key areas, but not limited to. We talk about, first of all, you becoming the CEO that God has called you to be. We talk about biblical principle for business, clarity on your short-term and long-term goals, and build a bridge between where you are now to where you want to be. Learn how to steward 5 essential areas in your business and life, master the business legal and administration and finance and so on. How to articulate the value of your offers, how to create that sell-out offer suite for your business, and which platform you should choose, what kind of content machine you should build in order to solidify your foundation, and also to be able to attract the right type of clients and generate the income and impact as well. So if you're one of those Christ-centered female founders and you would like to have a community like this to support you at a very, very reasonable price, well, we have a founding member price promotion at the moment. Just go to kellybutler.com/founder for detailed information. Okay, I'm so glad you mentioned all that about take a step in. Here's the thing, when people just listen to what you say, we need to use our spiritual ears, eyes, and brain. The first time for me to hear spiritual brain.
It's my first time saying it. I was like, oh, okay.
Okay. So obviously that's the Holy Spirit. Now, here is the thing, right? Basically, if we sum it up, people are gonna ask, I already know, they're gonna ask it, well, but how do I know that is from God? And LaTara just say that you take a step. And when people are so afraid to take that step, I often share, God is much bigger than our mistake.
Yes.
If you truly believe that step is what God ordained, God asked you to do, and even that was a mistake, because since God is more really focused on our heart, He will still honor that, right?
Yeah.
So LaTara, can you kind of elaborate about that? Because I know you are such a guide and a mentor to many entrepreneurs in this area.
I tell people a lot of times, I think I heard God and I move in it because, again, I'm a risk taker for the kingdom. And then if it's not quite right, I'm like, okay, God, well, what is this about? I launched a course earlier this year and it was really hard for me to launch. It was really a stretch. And with this shift in my business model, I was like, okay, God, so that means that I'm gonna sell this many courses because I got to make my income for the month, right? And I still moved in what I believed he said to get the course out, right? And I asked for a specific number like I did with the certification, but this time it didn't happen. And it kind of took me back for a minute, right? And then what I learned was he said to put the course out. Now I was still taken care of, bills still paid and everything else. He said to put the course out, LaTara. That's what he wanted you to do. And I'm like, okay, well, what? I still don't understand because I'm still having to kind of shift some things with my income to make sure money is here and there. And what happened was I really learned that when we take those risks and we make those steps like that, and it doesn't quite work out the way you thought, and it's a mistake. You call it a mistake, right? Something just happened. It's not a failure. You made a mistake, and something needs to be course corrected. That oftentimes it's about your character development. And that's what we have to learn is that when we make that mistake and God course corrects, he's also going to kind of work on those parts of you that may have been like, for me, I was a real brat. I was like, I don't understand why this didn't happen. I don't get this. And I had to really surrender and submit to what God was showing me in that moment. And all he kept saying was, do you trust me? And I said, yeah, I trust you, God. I do trust you. Right. And so then over time, now people are like asking about the course. And I'm like, yeah, well, it's still there because I had kind of given up, I didn't want to talk about it no more. I didn't want to do none of that. Right. Because I was disappointed. But it didn't mean he didn't tell me to do it. It just means that I didn't take the time to really hear him because I moved in a sense of, oh boy, I don't have the same clients I had before. I got to get some money coming in. So I put some stuff in there that I shouldn't have. I had a little bit of grind in me during that moment. And so it kind of blocked some of those things. He did tell me, I told you to put the course out. I told you to do that. But your desperation moved you in such a way that you wanted me to have help you get these many sales per day. And it was a desperate piece that he showed me because that's not honoring to God when you move in desperation. So it was a mistake in moving in the wrong way, but he did tell me to put that course out.
I'm so glad you say that. And guys, this is as real as it can be. Can you tell? We are not, we are not just, share with you guys that always the rainbow side of thing, right? This is truly that when we are walking with the Lord, this thing can happen. But I think on the other angle, a lot of times, right? God asks you to put a course out, for example. We can use the same example, right? When God asks us to do that one thing, right? We thought the result, that our desired result will right away come from that thing that he asked us to do. But I often found that, I'm sure LaTara, you also experienced this, like I often found like when God asks us to do one thing, and actually harvest came from other areas in life as well. Or we don't see the harvest until later. But the key is if we did not do that one thing that he asked us to do, it's not possible later or other areas we were able to see the harvest.
Yeah.
Right. Who knows that God later will use this course in a whatever scale way.
Yeah.
And for me, it was, if we can say that kind of the between the life and business. I remember years ago, God told me, say, you need to start to go to work out regularly. And I couldn't understand that. I was thinking, well, I'm relative fit and why? But since God said, well, you need to start to even strengthen further. And interesting, just by that one obedience, okay, then Lord, at the age of 47, then I joined the first time ever, the gym membership. My family member will laugh at me because they say, well, we give you a month. We give you a month. The thing is, interesting thing is, about a year later, I lost 7% body fat. And then a year later, that God started to open all different kinds of speaking stages, including the TEDx stage. And you probably, when you hear this, you can probably think about, what does workout do with speaking engagement? Yeah. I couldn't figure out that out either until every time after off the stage, and people, lovely, they want to take a picture with you and check with you and stuff like that. Now they ask questions. They ask, well, some with the content with what you just spoke. But funny thing is, they all ask the one common question. They ask this question, say, well, Kelly, well, now I'm age of 55, right? So they often ask, how did you look so fit? And that was a moment that now I'm able to share God's message in the secular world. Right? I can kind of share the story because a lot of time those places you are not allowed to just call the Bible verses and all that. But it's when you're off the stage and God start to, then after a couple of times happen, I start to get it. I thought, so that is why that on the top of, okay, I will have energy on stages, but the is open the door, allow people to experience God's love.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
So we just like, I when you share that, I just totally, thought of that. Just kind of just inspired me to share that. So LaTara, before we wrap up, what would you say to that group of crisis center entrepreneurs right now? Maybe they are in the, they are in the crossroad of, they feel a bit stuck, they knew that, they are doing okay in their business. But in deep of their heart, they kind of know something's missing. They kind of know that, it's kind of, they stuck. They probably also try all the things that, where all the experts guru tell them to do. But they feel something got to change. So in order to move forward, okay, they sometimes even occasionally feel that Holy Spirit tapping on their shoulder, right? But they are not so sure where to move forward from here. So what would you say to them?
Again, make that step, right? Like, just take that next step and God will meet you there. But also learn how to trust, and I love this, learn how to trust that God trusts you. And that if you apply his wisdom, see, wisdom is a good decision maker. So learning how to apply the wisdom of God, and moving in a vein, and really understanding who you are. Because when you know your identity, you're able to really move and make decisions so much better. I always tell people the key to moving in your business is to seek God first. When you seek him, you'll begin to understand your identity. When you understand your identity, right, then you understand what you value and you can prioritize, right? And then you know your needs, right? When you have those 5 things, that is so key, because if you have God, you have your identity, you know what's important, you know how to prioritize, and you know your needs, you can make decisions more effectively. And God is so, we have to understand that he's supernaturally practical. He wants you to understand those things, right? I'm in a season I'm in a season of heavy travel right now. So I have to have the ability to make sure that someone is always here with my mother, because my mother has memory issues. So I have to plan that. Wisdom says, make sure you talk to your family, give them the dates of when you travel so that they're able to be here with her. Make sure your youngest son who's here, he's old enough to help take care of her. And she's not just bad off, just her memory is just bad. But to be able to have that, because one of my values is my family. So to be able to balance that out so that I can go on these business trips and other type of trips, because I'm just in a heavy traveling season, it is really important. But if I don't seek God first for wisdom, and then know who I am, I won't know what to say no to, what to say yes to, and even how to move.
Here we go. So make sure that you got like 5 points down. And then if you are like me, I understand maybe you're driving, you are, working out the gym when you listen to the podcast. Don't worry, just go to our kellybauer.com/podcast. We'll also put LaTara's links, everything in the show note. Make sure you go to check her out. And I love what she say. God is supernaturally practical, okay? Because a lot of people, they thought, yeah, sometimes Christian, they are a little bit woohoo people. They are not practical at all. They just kind of sit there and wait for something drop from the sky. Well, it's not. I hope you are not that kind of a Christian, okay? So, LaTara, I cannot thank you enough for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me, Kelly.
Thank you. And if you like this video and this episode, please make sure you like, subscribe, and share with others so more Christ-centered leaders have the opportunity to consume this type of valuable content. Before I go, I just want to remind you that you can click on the screen to go to the next business growth videos, and I will see you in the next episode.